Welcome, Neil. I've got Neil Osment, the founder of NOA, with me today. Neil, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ian. Always a delight to have some time with you.
Good to see you. So a little bit of background. I've known Neil. I was checking it out, actually. I've known you since 1995.
Way, good
When
Lord.
we worked together at AssiDomän, which of course then became gosh, there've been so many company name changes. It's difficult to keep up, isn't it? I think it then became Smurfit, then became Smurfit Westrock.
Yeah.
So that was back in 1995. But Neil has a fascinating background. He's worked for, before founding NOA in 2005. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
A little bit about NOA. I'm sure you're going to talk more, but NOA provides advice and market intelligence and other services to leading organizations such as the Sheep Plant Association, the SPA, the European Manufacturers Honeycomb Association. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. EMPHA.
EMPHA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, EMPHA.
For CPI, the Confederation of Paper Industries.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
European Carton Manufacturers Association, and
ECMA.
lots of converters and mills across the globe.
And
So
we've
Neil
done
is
work with FEFCO as well,
and
and
FEFCO.
ICCA, International Corrugated Case Association. So you're quite right. We work our way from national to global.
Global. Fantastic. So you're I would say, one of the experts in the world of fibre-based packaging. So it's a delight to have you on board. But you just sort of a bit of background. So Neil's also worked for Linpac, which then became part of DS Smith Packaging, Alcoa and SCA, which before SCA it was Reed corrugated packaging, and then became ICCA. Neil also owns a thriving retail business called Wildlife World. And he's an entrepreneur, and we love entrepreneurs, don't we?
Well, thank you. I mean, if you call me an entrepreneur, this is great praise from the ultimate entrepreneur. So, no, thank you.
And also, just a bit of sort of personal background. Neil's a real sportsman. He loves his sailing and a bit of abseiling. Not something I've done, but I want to do. And he lives down a beautiful part of the world in North Devon, not far from Linpac. So look, Neil, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
You've had sight of these questions, so hopefully we can sort of rattle through them. So my first question to you, Neil, is, wait for it, is what are the three things that NOA does rather well, in your view?
Lovely. We listen, we observe, and we think. So we listen. We do lots of interviews with people and find out what are the trends, what are the important things that are happening with businesses, converters, mills, mainly in Europe, but outside of that. And we listen. We listen to what people's pain points are, and as a result of knowing the pain points, we can then sensibly and thoughtfully help address their issues. We observe. We love spending time in shops. All of us, all of our team. And it's all the new things that are happening in the retail space very much excites us. Other avenues are available. Obviously, retail space we would describe as virtual as well as bricks and mortar. And we make our forecasts. And in order to make our forecasts, we have to use our experience, our expertise, and our judgments. And we use them all. So thinking and judging to predict the future. So those are the three things: listen, observe, and think.
Listening being so important, isn't it? Something that I think in this busy world that we now live in is becoming quite a challenge, to say the least.
Yeah.
And so what's NOA's magic recipe for success?
Well, I think I mentioned it before. We've got a wealth of experience. I was just totting up. We must have over 300 years of packaging experience within our community or our ecosystem. So both within the employees of NOA and within the community of freelancers that support us, over 300 years of packaging. So that's pretty good. And then it's applying our expertise to forecast the future. So I would say those are probably the simple magic ingredients that allow
Simple,
us to
but
do
not
what
so
we do.
simple, right? Simple
Yeah,
and not so simple.
absolutely.
And what are your hopes and ambitions for the future of packaging, given all of the tectonic plates shifting at a great pace at the moment?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, against, as you say, the backdrop of what's happening right now, and has been happening, particularly in Europe over the last 5, 6 to 10 years. We'd love to see a more sustainable world for packaging, a more sustainable future for packaging. You know, a world where the majority of packaging can go back into the recycling stream, and be used again, and not to be burned or buried. So that's the first. Second, I'd say, is where we find, even more innovative ways to make packaging out of grown resources
Mm,
rather than relying on mined resources. And very exciting, the latest thing with, there's a number of grown sources of it's like grass or something like that, and hay and straw and the such like. But things like seaweed, I think that
mm,
that's the opportunities that are there. So I love the innovative opportunities that there are. And then I say the third thing, where the general public or consumers will know what to do with their redundant packaging. So
yeah.
that's a dream for us. Which bin should they put it in, and they'll know why. So actually, I think engaging with consumers, and my passion about, now we're going to talk rubbish, and I think that's so important, waste, and how the general public engages with packaging. So that's the view for the future for me, on those three things.
Yeah, funny enough, I was having a conversation with my dustman this morning about waste management. We got into food waste collection,
Yeah,
and I said, "What are the challenges for you guys?" And he said, "To be honest, we don't have enough vehicles, we don't have enough space,
yeah,
and but we have to change because." By the way, it was a very bright dustman. Not that
yeah,
dustmen aren't bright, but this guy was very well informed. I
yes,
said, "What about all the bins? How do people cope?" He said, "Yeah, it's really, really tricky,
yes,
but
yes,
we somehow got to adapt."
yes.
I have
Just
another.
on that, just picking up on what you're saying there, I am really, hats off to the people that are in waste management.
Yeah,
And for the number of years that when you go to your local tip, how polite they are, how
yeah,
well informed they are, and they've clearly been very well trained for many years.
yeah.
So, and I think that actually the investment in people in the waste management area, which has obviously happened for, I would say, at least a decade or two, I
Mm,
think is a real good sign. So the more investment, not just in the people, but in the infrastructure, I think is needed, and I think it would be, it would be a great thing for Europe, not just UK, not just Europe, but leading in Europe. I think so. Yeah, in more investment, but the people are so well informed.
mm,
They're really,
mm.
it's very impressive.
Education, isn't it? And also motivating the
Yeah,
public to want to support these um,
yeah,
measures or policy changes, because
yeah,
there are many coming on over the next
yep,
12, 18 months. Just in the UK, we're going to see a completely different approach to waste management, which should be supported, but
yeah.
it's going to create a lot of challenges, that's for sure.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's, as you say, there's legislation coming thick and fast from everywhere: plastic taxes, PPWR, EPR, and as, in all of that, there's some fees being collected, and if there was a wish that I would have, is from those fees that they could directly be used to invest in the infrastructure of waste management. I think that would be fantastic, and I think the benefit for the UK, for Europe, would be enormous.
Totally. Yeah, that hopefully those EPR fees and waste management fees will be applied to improving the infrastructure, because goodness knows we need it. I know
Yeah,
in the UK we're trying to raise £2 billion from EPR fees, which costs retailers, let's take one as an
yeah,
example, Marks and Spencer's about £40 million a year. So, hopefully all of that money will go into improving the infrastructure.
yeah.
Okay, so let's move off packaging for a bit. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about you a bit, shall we?
All right.
So who inspires you, and who's had the most influence on your life so far?
Yeah. Well, I've thought about this one, and for me, it was Richard Branson.
Right.
And Richard Branson as I think I like his slightly offbeat way. I like his he started his life living on a boat, and he's he doesn't necessarily conform. So I like the non-conforming bit. But what I like about him is, and I've read many of his books, he always says 51% based on numbers and statistics and facts, and then 49% based on gut feel and instinct.
Right.
That I've loved that. I've advocated that as well. And we at NOA, we don't rely on just 51% on sort of numbers and statistics. It's more than that. But there's an element of judgment and gut feel because of your expertise. So I've loved that about him, and I love the fact that he his sports. So you were saying about us living down here in Devon and the various sport. My next one is surfing. So
Yeah.
I'm attempting to learn how to surf at the tender age of whatever in my
Good for
60s I
you.
am.
Good for
So
you.
it's good fun. Yeah, it's good fun. Really enjoy it. But yeah, and he's forever something new, and I'm inspired by that. Whatever age you are, something new.
So if you could have a chat with your younger self, what would be your advice?
Yeah, I think again, going self-employed. So that was 20 years ago. So Noah is
Yeah.
20 years old this year.
Mm.
And what would I have said to my, don't worry. Don't be concerned. Actually, it's going to be a lot of fun. You'll meet some great people. You'll have some great people around you, working for you, or working with you. So we have some lovely people that have been, longest employee came 19 and a half years ago, working for NOA. So, we have some lovely people in the team, lovely people that we work with, lovely customers that we work with. And we have a reputation which is hard earned, but we have a good reputation. So that's been great. So I think don't worry, don't
Don't
worry,
worry.
don't
Don't
worry,
worry.
young Neil. You'll
Just
you'll
go
be all
for it.
right.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. And actually in COVID, I think that set us well. So 5 years ago, almost to the day, and I remember COVID coming, and we're going, good Lord, have we got a business? And within 1 month, we had a thriving business because people wanted our help. And I think that was a demonstration that we had set up something that was regarded well, and we've continued to go from strength to strength even after that.
That's great. So come on, tell us something about you that people don't know.
Okay. I was talking to my partner, I was talking to Mandy about this, and she said, you know what, you do have the ability to get up, and you enthuse about things. And I
Mm.
said, yeah, I do. And I thought, when have I fallen over and I've got up again? Well, at the tender age of 44, I learned to ski. It's a bit of a theme going on here about sport and such like. I
Extreme
learned to
sports.
ski. I'd wanted to ski, yeah, and so in my first year I skied, and on my last day I fell over, and it had quite painful. And I found myself a year later skiing down exactly the same slope and did exactly the same thing, but on the other shoulder. And I realized what I'd done a year before was I'd actually dislocated one of my shoulders, but I'd popped it back in again and carried on.
Oh,
So in the second year of realizing what I'd done, I then went off to a physio, and I had some physio, and I also did some gym work to make sure that I was okay. But yeah, you get up, you dust yourself down,
get
and
on with it.
and you
So
do
where
it
does
again.
that positivity, that optimism come from, do you think? Is it from your mum or your dad, or
Yeah,
further down the genetic chain?
yeah, that's interesting. I'd say my mum is probably Susie's mum, she's probably the least positive person. You know, she'll always see, you know, oh, but there's this sort of negative thing. My dad was always can do. Dad was very can do. So I would say probably from him. But I mean, having said that, my mum at 80, well, she's 87 now. She was the one that went abseiling down Spinnaker Tower. When she was in her late 70s, early 80s, probably.
Wow.
So there's a determination in Mum, despite her. She'd go, oh, you know, I don't think I can do this, and yet she does. So there's to be fair to her, she has a steely determination.
And she's presumably kept herself pretty darn fit, yeah.
She's amazingly fit. Yeah, I mean, she's walking about. Had a knee operation recently, but 87, she's incredibly fit. And I hope that I'll have that. I have a 95-year-old auntie. She's carrying on. Both my grandparents on my mum's side were either side of 100. So
wow.
Yes. Sorry, folks.
You've got some good genes.
I might be around for a bit longer.
Yeah, so you won't be handing out. So how many children have you got?
2. Yeah, 2. Josh and Beth.
Yeah, so they'll have to wait a bit before they get their inheritance, eh?
Yes, that's right.
Might be till there. You're 100 or whatever.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, fantastic. So come on then. What book or movie has had the biggest impact on you, and what can you recommend to folks out there?
There you go. So this was easy. Blade Runner.
Oh, right.
Blade Runner for me, and I saw it when I was in my 20s, and I just was, and people say, oh, dystopian world. Actually, what I saw was a really, Vangelis's music was not ominous. Vangelis's music was inspiring because it's quite mighty. So that was the music was amazing. Just the imagination in the film was fantastic, and Roy Batty's speech, "Tears in the Rain." If you don't know the speech, it's just amazing. So Roy Batty, Roy Batty is a robot, and he gives this eloquent, romantic speech about all the amazing things that he's seen in his robot life, and he shows a humanity that is just amazing and inspiring. And he finishes off his speech. So if you haven't heard Tears in the Rain, and he finishes it off about a time to die, and there's this dove flies off, and you realize that this robot has passed away. But it's just, I think for me, it just says in a robotic world, actually there are some amazing natural things that we should appreciate, and if you keep your eyes open, and we should preserve. So I think, I loved that film from the very start. Yeah,
and what are you reading at the moment?
Oh,
Mills and Boon. Is it Mills and Boon?
Mills and Boon. I've got 3 books on the go, and I'm trying to get through them. What is it? It's Jerome K. Jerome, and it's not 3 Men in a Boat, but it's another of his books. And forgive me, I'm struggling with it. I haven't got it with me. My dad read it. It's was it the Thoughts of a Lazy Man? I think it's not quite right, that, but that's one. But that's one. A few recommend. What have you got? You've got one.
I thought you might answer it. I've got 2 on the go at the moment.
Yeah,
I've normally got like half a dozen. So interesting. Oh, I don't think see it, so I won't show it on the screen.
If you put it to your face.
Paradise Lost.
Yeah,
by John Milton.
Yes.
We were in a pub last weekend, and there was a copy of this book, leather bound, with foil tipped, a miniature version.
Yes.
And it's fascinated me, this book. And I asked the waitress, I said, is this book for sale? And she said, yeah, make me an offer. So I said, I'll give you a tenner. She said, okay, let me think about it. Anyway, while she'd gone off, my brother-in-law went online and checked into the value of it, and it was worth hundreds of pounds.
Lord.
So he told her,
Lord.
he said, "Oh no, it's worth 100." I said, thanks, Nick. You've just mucked up the negotiation there. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I went online and bought a copy. So
You
that's
bought
something.
it.
And then
Very
another
good.
one which I think you'll like. Um,
Ah,
anybody?
the,
So it's
the
called
hidden.
The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter Woollyben, and the
Ah,
amazing way that trees and also fungi communicate with one another. I've
yeah.
only just started it, but I'm already like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So
That's great. The way that fungi and trees communicate with each other. I love the Lord of the Rings, where the Ents, the tree, these tree beard is one of them, but they're called Ents. So are they trees, or are they kind of the people that look after trees? And they're just wonderful. So every time where I am here, there's a wood, as you will know because you've been here. There's this small wood outside, and I look at them and I go, "Oh, is that an Ent, or is that just an ordinary tree?" So anyway,
there's a tree in Sweden that's 9,500 years old.
wow,
Can you imagine what stories that tree could
yeah,
tell if it could tell them?
quite, yeah. But they're
Yeah,
very discreet trees. They're very
yeah,
discreet.
they're not very gobby.
No, that's right. You can trust a tree. You can hug it, and it won't tell anybody.
Well, look, don't tell anyone, but I am prone to hug the odd tree,
Likewise.
which causes Hazel. She says, "Oh, for God's sake, you nutter!" But there you go. Well, look, Neil,
Very good.
always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Fantastic, lovely to see you. Thanks
and you
for
too.
sharing your thoughts and
Thank you.
experiences.